Good to see everybody again today for another Champions Using Teams Effectively, otherwise affectionately known as Cute for Teams. You got Ricardo, you got Staci, we got you. As always, you come off mute or hit the chat if you want to talk, ask a question. That's what we're here for your questions. And to just geek out with you in general. In fact, I was going to talk a little bit, had a little not revelation, that's a strong word. I was just thinking about Teams earlier this week and wanted to share a little best practice I have. But again, I wanted to make sure that nobody came with a burning question or anything. Again, if so, use the chat while we're talking. But let me look at my screen share here. So I was thinking about the concept of what I'm calling containers in Teams. The place where you're holding content in Teams. I was thinking to myself, what makes my posts in Teams and my putting a file in a post in Teams different from, either putting it in OneNote or putting it in a folder, in SharePoint or something like that, because I think in general, I've kind of been thinking there's something that seems very productive about me keeping my notes and my stuff in Teams versus folders in OneNote. I mean, and we've had those for decades, right? And I've used them all the time. Why am I so keyed in on Teams? And I think part of it is just this concept of this nice container and this all in one place for it. I think also without having to think as much about the organization of things. I mean, when I'm putting something in a folder, I'm usually very specific about that folder and where it is. Even OneNote is specific to the page and all that kind of thing. So I don't expect to blow your minds here, but I just thought it might be something interesting. I'll start top to bottom, right? At the very top level is, well, one, certainly putting it in Teams, and Teams being the container, and wherever it may be. That is cool in that it's one place with a search box, which today searches all of Teams, maybe one day all of my M365 in general. But if I commit to Teams and I put it in Teams as the container, I am likely to find it here, if nothing else, through my search box, which can either find messages or files, or just navigate around. So that's the highest level container, is the team itself. Then that next container, or Teams itself, that next container would be a specific team, right? So the thing I'm talking about or storing is related to road safety, so I'm going to put it in that particular team. And so here then is when we start getting into one of the things that I think I like about Teams in general is, and I guess you could say this about SharePoint too, but a URL to the container, right? So I can get a link to that team, and then I can put that anywhere in my notes, in the email to someone else who who has access to that team. So there's my container and my unique link to that container. And just depending on how you do your notes and your task management, having a link to that specific thing can be useful. So whether I'm using To Do or OneNote or even my email, sometimes it's my task manager. I like being able to have a direct link to something. So there's my first container, is the team itself, which just like OneNote has, instead of pages, channels, or just like SharePoint, instead of folders, channels, right? So there's my top level container. Now I drill into the channel itself. Now this channel is specific to audit planning. Once again, I've got a unique link directly to that channel. So for all things audit planning, which means one more click and I'm at the file specific to that channel and things of that nature and all the conversations. All right. And again, the other thing that's useful about these links is that they're kind of like living links, in that assuming activity is happening related to audit planning, that link that I've given someone always has the latest or the ongoing activity related to, in this case, audit planning. So there's one more layer then in. And now we get into another layer, which is the conversation. I was trying to find a better one than that. But let's see. Let's just stay in this channel here. So the conversation. So also has its own unique link. So regardless of knowing what channel it's in, that's a link to that conversation, even if it wasn't even about audit planning, right? It's going to take me here to all of the threads over time, right? Some of you may be in conversations within a channel that are, been going on for months, right? And so that one link could be pretty useful. But now that link is certainly conversation, but it can also, even in the case of this example, be documents. Now we know those documents are stored on the back end in SharePoint, maybe even in a specific folder, embedded in some folder hierarchy. But in the context of us using this particular link or container, it's just right there within the conversation. So as we're talking, we could be adding documents and all that stuff, and that's all going to be giving us, we're all going to keep one link for that. And then we can dive in one more level and go to the one single post itself. And of course that has a link as well. I also consider that to be a living link, depending on its use, right? If I'm linking to someone else's post, that might be a post that doesn't change. But if I'm linking to my post is always editable. And so while today it has one sentence, I could come back in here and edit it and add sentences and screenshots and files and whatever I wanted into this. And so now this particular post becomes kind of a living link. And so I do have, for instance, in some of the notes that I keep, I often, even chatting with myself, right, in the chat here, you can kind of, we have that capability now. But in channels, I will sometimes continue to make new posts because it's like a journal, so I get it kind of time stamped by doing that. But I also will just continue to update an individual post, just continue to add more and more stuff to it. And again, depending on where I've placed a link to that, now that that email, that OneNote page has this ongoing, continually updated post. So that to me is another container, is the actual individual post itself. And I was thinking that's where it stops. However, once loops come into channel posts, if I was to place a loop in that post, one could argue I've got a container within that post container, because that loop could be real time changing. It's got other people in it. So it's almost like we're kind of, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Inception, but it's like a dream within a dream within a dream here. So yeah, I don't know if it's an if or maybe a when, but if loops come into the post, you can potentially have another container there as well. So again, just for me personally, the way I organize things in my notes and things, those containers to me are and those links to those different things are very useful. A lot of my tasks that I do, I like having references back to either the conversations that thing is about, or same with emails. I just like having those links back. So that concept is important to me, and that's all within the context of channels here. In the context of group chat, you do. Let me see. I was trying to think. Certainly, the posts. If I find one here, the posts themselves. Do they? That may be a feature that's coming, because I know I've seen that, and it may be in commercial. But having links to the posts in a group chat, and maybe that's because I'm in a meeting chat here. Let me see here. I need more content in this. It's not here. I've often kind of gotten to these posts by creating tasks, which will then generate the link to it. And I think I've shared that tip in the past. But Yeah, so there's the link there if I was to turn it into a task. But even in your group chats, there's this concept of using those as containers as well. Not as formal in its organization because of the lack of, I mean, that channel has those sub conversation concepts in it. So it's kind of a streaming thought, but still useful there. So, yeah, I just thought that's something that maybe you haven't thought about before. I don't know if you, like me, sometimes ask yourself, what is my best approach for storing should I stay tried and true with good old fashioned files and folders? I mean, I can't, it doesn't hurt either. That's got a decades long history there. Or should I start, as I feel like I have, should I start moving to letting Teams be my organization medium? Again, especially when you've got your own. I mean, this is just a really has been a really useful tool for me when they gave us the you only. I chat with myself a lot.
I do too.
Yeah, it just it's a built-in journal, right? I mean, every one
It's
of my posts
amazing.
gets a date and time, and it's searchable and all that good stuff. So I actually, in fact, I went to a conference recently, and that is where this is the first time that I used this, U channel to store my notes in that conference. I mean, I would
Mm.
usually go to conferences and fire up OneNote or something like that, but it was just so easy to fire up the Teams app, go to my U channel, and it was just clippings. It was either pictures I was taking, notes that were coming to me, and each time I put them in, they were automatically getting tagged with the date and time. So that's when it kind of clicked, and I knew like I was all in on some of these
Hmm.
teams concepts. So yeah, and I still
Yeah,
love
mine is
OneNote, but
full of screenshots
yeah,
and same like links that I want to remember to go back to and things like
yep,
that.
yeah. So, and that may be a challenge for some if you've got any kind of retention policy on these things where the stuff goes
Right.
away. If you are in a position where it lasts forever, particularly if you've got a personal Office 365 account, Teams, then this becomes more useful. Yeah, with retention policies in place, then everything I've said starts to become problematic. so, so yeah, probably didn't change your world with that there, but again, I thought it might be something interesting to think about as I feel like Teams just becomes a more central tool for us in our Microsoft 365 kind of world that our office world that we live in these days. So something to keep in mind. Cool beans. So yeah, if you got any thoughts on any of that, or you got any opinions or different ways to use it, feel free to let us know. And then of course, you got any questions, let us know as well.
This probably goes without saying, but I lean on all of those containers, like you mentioned, mainly because it's right here in where I spend all my day in
Yeah,
Teams. I don't have to leave the context of Teams
right.
to do the search, find the thing, and continue on with the work that I have to do all day, every day, communicating
Yep.
around whatever it is that I've just surfaced and leveraged without leaving Teams. So,
Yeah. And that's a good point too. What do we spend our day in? And I think for many of us, we would say that it is Teams and Outlook. Probably for most of us. And so, yeah, I've often wondered, given just like you said, given that I am in front of Outlook all the time, should that be the place where things go? I don't think it. As long as it's been around, I don't think that's the spot for at least for me for trying to
no.
hold all the things. Every now and then, I will throw a thought as a note. I'll email myself something. Usually it's because, and I was trying to fire up Outlook here. I don't know what happened. Usually it's because I want it to show up in my inbox as something actionable for me. I'm usually attempting to try to clean out the inbox, and so if my note shows up in the inbox, then it makes me want to do something with it versus if I just put it in,
Right.
some other
Right.
thing. So I do use it that way. Sometimes I'll put it there just because I want to, do a search in Outlook and find it there. But yeah, I find much better use in Teams. But you're right that one of the key pieces is the fact that it's on and in front of my face all day.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, then it might be a different story. I don't know if anybody sits in front of their SharePoint site all day, and even if you did, I
Yeah.
mean, you sit in front of a Teams tool, but it's a living tool because, like, depending on how you work, all your coworkers are chatting there, and these teams and channels are filling up with stuff. So it's just like your inbox, right? It keeps getting new emails. I think that's why we're able to quote unquote sit in front of it, is because it's always giving us new information.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that which isn't necessarily the case sitting, staring at a SharePoint site. So, what is nice though is that no matter what you choose, in general, you're still able to search across all of it, either the search
Thankfully,
specific
yes.
to the tool or a full blown, search, with the M365 search, which I was trying to find. Where am I? I think we all are familiar with that. Some of my stuff is, this thing might need to be updated. Yeah. But yeah, M365 search. Yeah, I was trying to get there. That's searching this site, and then I don't know why my little thing there keeps
Yeah.
going away. Let's
Where's your
just go.
waffle?
I know my waffle keeps going away. Yeah. So this, once it comes up, is the search I was talking about. Search all things. All
Mm-hmm.
right. So I do like that, and I feel like they're working on this all the time. More and more things are searchable. Certainly, your org can actually, modify some of these search parameters and things. But yeah, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In my personal life with Office 365 at home, and I think that's where some of my thoughts have been coming from. When you start storing, your own, home documents and whatever, and then you start thinking, now, I may need to keep this for years. Is this going to be? Is this the right spot for it? Is this the right tool for it? And do I have enough space and all that good stuff? When you start, thinking about tons and tons of documents and information, but so far it's working out for me. So. Hopefully, if you're out there with your own organizational tips, you're not hiding them from us. We would love to hear
Yeah.
about them as well.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. I was just thinking about, what's new, what's coming, which I don't know if I have anything today, but Ignite is coming. You talk
Yes.
about
Next
what's
week.
new. Yeah, if you were
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out what's new, you need to be there. So just put it on the screen here, because you can certainly register. You're out of luck if you were trying to go in person. Oops, that's not right. Am I? Let's see. Is it Ignite.Microsoft? Probably. Yeah, if you wanted to, come on, go in person, those are all sold out, but you can certainly attend digitally, so you still can register. So November 15th and 16th, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of cool stuff being talked about there. Many of you on the line are government customers, so always keep that in mind. You're going to see
Mm-hmm.
stuff that has no promise of launching simultaneously with commercial, but if you are government on the line, that's not unfamiliar to you. So
Right.
grain of salt on the things that you see there in terms of when or maybe even if they'll hit in GCC.
True.
I don't know how many of you are LinkedIn users out there. A lot of people are putting some effort into putting posts that are aggregating topics together to make it easy for you. I mean, once you register, you'll go in here and start to find your sessions, depending on what you're interested in. But like if you already know you're interested in Teams or Power Platform or something like that, some people are putting the work in, thankfully, into finding all the sessions for you and putting them all in one post so you know which ones to go add to your schedule. So check out LinkedIn for that, or wherever you go for your info. But should be good stuff.
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of exciting things.
Yeah. I know there was a dev conference recently, and they gave away some cool stuff at that one, some GitHub licenses or something like that. It's probably, I guess, the thing we're missing, not going in person. Can't look under our seat and find some fancy new thing. So just have to settle for on-demand recordings. That's just as good as a gift under your seat, right? So good stuff. We definitely appreciate everybody joining. I know this was a day that some people are off today. So glad you could join us. Of course, all of these are online and whatnot. I do see a hand up. Feel free to come off mute.
Great. I just had a question about Ignite. If you're planning on attending virtually and you just want to watch the recordings, do you need to sign up for those recordings and throw them in your backpack, or are they accessible down the road?
Stacy, I think they would be accessible.
Yeah.
I know some of these say things like will not be recorded.
Right.
But then I guess in this case, for instance, this is Seattle only, so that doesn't matter. I don't know if there's like an online one that wouldn't be recorded. That may be possible. So that would be the only scenario I would think where you couldn't just go back later and grab it. And sometimes it's like the fireside chat kind of ones are sometimes not recorded. So that may be the only. But I would say in general, you'd be safe to just get them whatever you need after the fact. In years past, Perfect. I feel like I remember that being the scenario.
That's what I thought. I'm going to be away, so I just wanted to verify I didn't need to go through the registration and sign up for all of this, and I can get it later on.
Yeah, I think that will be the case.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, in fact, we might be able to confirm that just by going here to the session archives.
21, 22.
Right. Yeah. So this is last year. Yeah, Microsoft Ignite 2020. So I think we're safe to be able to get
standing.
Yeah. Good stuff. Man, I wonder how far back this goes. It looks like 2020. That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I guess 2020 might have been the first that was
Ignite?
heavily virtual, or would that have been 2019?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I would think 2020 would have been the first all virtual one. So yeah, we'd have tons of videos and making them accessible. Yep, that's a good point.
Yeah, but they definitely, any of that video content that comes out of those sessions is something that becomes part of accessible content after the fact. So
Right. All right. Good deal. Well, oops, I didn't mean to do that. If nothing else, yeah, we can kick off the end of this week here and get ready for our weekend and enjoy it.
Yeah, hope you do too, Ricardo.
Yeah, you too. And everybody else as well.
Bye, guys.
All right. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the blog for more content.